Hi, today I would like to talk a little bit about the BIGIP Kubernetes controller. So someone in the F5 Cloud Solution Slack channel, so we have BIGIP has a CC Kubernetes controller Slack channel. So someone asked how the uh, Kubernetes BIGIP controller manage the SSL redirect. So SSL redirect is say when you have a virtual server with when you have a virtual server on BIGIP with HTTP, which is a clear text and no SSL encryption. So for some customers, they prefer whenever someone send a HTTP request, a clear text HTTP request to a virtual server, the HTTP virtual server would redirect to a HTTPS virtual server, which has SSL encryption enabled. So for security, and so the Kubernetes BIGIP controller SSL redirect feature can automatically configure this feature for HTTP redirect. And but there seems a lack of some documentation, and he asked a few questions here in the channel. So his first question is what is the relationship between SSL redirect and allow HTTP annotations? So so right now I can show you an example here to explain to answer his question. So I have my Kubernetes. Actually, this is not a Kubernetes. This is a K3s, a lightweight Kubernetes cluster from Rancher Lab, and I can show you Ingress example. So he's asking the question, the annotation allow HTTP. What's the relationship between allow HTTP and SSL redirect annotation? So it's actually pretty straightforward. So when you say allow HTTP to false and the SSL redirect to true, and in this case, when the controller BIGIP controller configure virtual server on the BIGIP, it will configure it will automatically add SSL redirect irule in the HTTP virtual server. So whenever a user send the HTTP a clear text HTTP request to the HTTP virtual server, the SSL redirect irule would automatically redirect to HTTPS virtual server, which has the SSL encryption enabled. And so yeah, that's basically what it is. And if that's what the customer want, they can just set allow HTTP to false, SSL redirect to true. Even when you you cannot set allow HTTP to true and SSL redirect to true, because that doesn't make sense. So I believe in the code, when you have SSL redirect to true, even you have allow HTTP to true also, I think the SSL redirect would take a preference and still do SSL redirect. I believe that what it is in the code, but I can confirm. And so yeah, hopefully, and but in common sense, if you want SSL redirect, you set allow HTTP to false and SSL redirect to true. Okay, hope I answered the question. And okay, so his second question is what sections of Ingress definition trigger exactly what updates? What sections of the Ingress definition trigger exactly what updates in HTTPS redirect data group to enable or disable redirect? So yeah. So when BIGIP do SSL redirect, it will, the BIGIP controller will create a HTTPS redirect data group for the SSL redirect irule to work. Say the data group, the HTTPS redirect data group looks like this, and I can show you the example again here. Let me go to my BIGIP here. So this is a BIGIP, and this is the data group look like. Okay, so when you send a HTTP request to www.example.com/ and the irule, the SSL redirect irule will reference this data group, and since the host name is www.example.com, the path, the URI path is / and it matches it matches this data record, and it will do a SSL redirect. So, and you can see the here is the SSL redirect irule created on the BIGIP, and so this is the irule, SSL redirect irule, automatically created by the BIGIP controller on the BIGIP. So when HTTP request is received, the BIGIP irule check this HTTP request, and it will set the host to the request host, and the path to the URI, and so here it will match the path, the host and the path to this HTTPS redirect data group, and if there is a record match here, it will do SSL redirect. If there's no match in this data group, it will not do SSL redirect. So that's basically the logic of this SSL redirect irule, right? So okay, so what sections of the Ingress triggers populates or creates the HTTP redirect data group record? So here is an example of Ingress. This is the part, say, in the specs, and you have TLS section for SSL virtual server deployment, and here is the record for the data group, say you have rules, and then you have a host, and you have pass, and so for each pass you can define multiple paths for per host. So you can define multiple paths for each host, and then in the SSL redirect data group, it will create a data record for each path. So in this case, yeah, so in this case, I only have a /1 path, so the data group is only has one record here, the /path. If I have a /path full, it will have a /path full record here in this data group. Okay, so okay, hope I answered the second question. Look at the rule. Assume redirect could be set per HTTP path, not only per HTTP host. Is that correct? Okay, so I just answered this question. The question is correct. You can have multiple HTTP paths per HTTP host. If so, how do we control this in Ingress definition? Okay, so I just showed the Ingress here definition here. So this is one host, and you can define multiple paths here, and each path with a backend with a different with either the same or different Kubernetes services. So the first question, is there any other way than using HTTP redirect irule 443? I believe that's the only way. That's the only way that is coded in the BIGIP Kubernetes BIGIP controller, and I believe there is also a irule annotation in legacy BIGIP controller. I believe I may have a patch or code doing for irule annotation, but that's not recommended for the most recent release, since the new BIGIP controller used the AS3 declaration for configuration deployment on BIGIP, so it's not recommended to use any irule annotation, and because for each feature if you want, you use annotation that you can create too many annotations, and so AS3 is the recommended way for future. And so yes, I believe this is irule for SSL redirect. Okay, so this question, where to look for logs on the BIGIP updates to HTTPS redirect data group are not seen on the BIGIP. So if you are suspecting there is no record created for the HTTP path in the data group, so how do you find it in the logs? I believe you need to look at the code, and so actually the code to create the data group, it's a kind of complicated. I only read a little bit of the code, and hopefully, let's see. So I believe the code is is in this resource handle. Okay, let's go to here. Sync in. So sync ingress is the main function to handle ingress in the controller. And let's go to sync ingress here. So I believe this map, services forward rules map, is to store the HTTP redirect URI or HTTP path redirect record. So, and yeah, we can search this string. I have not dived into this part of the code that much, but so here we come to handle Ingress TLS, which is handle Ingress SSL encryption. So let's go to this function, handle Ingress TLS. Let me make it a bigger screen. And so here's the SSL redirect, and we just mentioned that SSL redirect annotation and allow HTTP annotation relationship. Okay, actually in the code it has the documentation. I believe F5 docs can also have that documentation. So yeah, so here also in the code it explains the allow HTTP and SSL redirect annotation relationship. So if both are false, last thing on HTTP, just do SSL encryption. If SSL redirect is true, allow HTTP is false, then HTTP redirect to HTTPS. Yeah, so it's good to read this. Okay, so let's go to the data group. And as you can see here is to add the data group. Here is the data group name. And so here is the backend for the Ingress spec. Yeah. So as you can see here, this code, this for loop is to populate the data group with the host and the path. Yeah. So I don't think it has a log here. So probably you can I mean for the users, we could add a log debug, like log debug thing in here. And so if you turn on the debug, and you could see what path, HTTP path is added to the data group record, right? So anyway, so yeah, so there is no logs for now, but yeah, maybe we can add a debug log there. Okay, so yeah, I think that's his questions. Hope I answered the question. And I also want to mention, recently I have found two problems with the SSL redirect. So I sent up two fixes pull request. So one is a fixed SSL redirect when Ingress has low rules and a host pass. So what this is? So for example, if I have so this is one of the issue from one of the customer here. So here is an example Ingress YAML file. As you noticed, he only has TLS and a backend. There is no host or pass. So you think, why would someone have this kind of a Ingress deployment? So I think the user has a lot of host a lot of virtual server for each of their customers. So they have a lot of virtual servers with different host name and a different host path. So he does not want to create an Ingress for each one of them because there would be too many Ingress and host and a path. So he just want to do a wildcard SSL redirect. So anything come to the virtual servers, any virtual servers, he wanna any HTTP path, he wanna do a SSL redirect without looking at each individual HTTP path. So that's the requirement. And so with this kind of requirement, there we have a bug, which is my code fix. Let's read the problem. So when you have such an example, there's no path, no host definition in the ingress. The SSL redirect irule would fail because SSL redirect irule needs to match path in data group to do HTTP to HTTPS redirect. So the existing SSL redirect irule code is to only do SSL redirect when there's a path match in the data group. So, but this customer, he has no any path defined in the ingress, so SSL redirect fail, and the solution is just apply a wildcard SSL redirect when ingress has no rules, host or path. So just do SSL redirect regardless if there is a path or host. So that's the fix I put in. So here is the actual code change. It's actually pretty straightforward fix, and yeah, just a few line code changes. And if you are interested, you can look at it. So yeah, so here is the pull request. You can go to the GitHub. Another one I also want to mention is this one. So when you have a ingress that you are using, your HTTP virtual server is not using standard port 80. Instead, it's using port 8080 or any other port. The SSL redirect would also fail because also there is a minor bug in the irule. So the problem is again in the data group, we only have the host section and the path and the path. So when you have this port 8080, then the irule would match, would use this as a complete host name, which apparently does not match this, right? Because it has extra 8080. So the SSL redirect irule would fail because no match in the data group. So it's a just minor fix. The actual fix is a one-line code change, and which is in the irule from the. So this HTTP host would get the host name colon the long standard port 8080, and so we get the field to just get the host and without the port. So this variable would just be a host, so it can match the data group in the later. Yeah, so it's a simple fix, and hope you learned something here. Yeah, thank you.